Welcome to the Coop with Kit. My name is Kit Hoover, and I have been lucky enough in my 30 years in this business to interview some of the most iconic, badass women out there. We all know that girlfriends give the best advice, and they're all coming to the Coop. We're talking career, marriage, kids, sex, aging, all of it. I truly believe we are just hitting our stride. All right, my chickens, let's get into it. I am still in awe and laughing from my time with Holly Robinson Peete in the Coop today. This glowing, gorgeous woman has showcased her acting chops for 40 years in TV and film. And she is the trailblazer in opening up possibilities for families with autistic children. This will be her legacy. Holly has shown a beautiful, bright light for thousands through her Holly Rod Foundation. Today, she shares her family's tale of grief and redemption. She spills the tea about her smoking hot 4 decades in Hollywood and how to get some mommy rejuvenation and sexual healing back in our lives. She even flawlessly sings in French for us. She was a jazz singer in Paris at 19. I mean, come on, what can't she do? With a tell-all book in the works, her kids all grown up and thriving, and a newfound appreciation for her man, Holly is settled yet appropriately unsettled. She's magical, radiant, and an unstoppable force. This one is electric, my chickens. Here is Holly Robinson Peete. Are we recording?
Yes.
We're recording. Hi, my friend.
Hi, my love.
First of all, why do you look so good? Can you give me some of that lighting you've got going on over there? You look stunning.
Thank God it's Zoom because they have the little touch yourself up filter and I just crank that baby all the way to the right.
When I learned about that little box you could check, I want to be full blurry. I want to be like, you can't even make out it's me.
Just wax me up.
How is Dolores?
Mom is in Palm Springs and she does not need anybody. She is living her best desert life.
How old is she now, Holly?
She's 88.
First of all, your mom is such a renegade. Everything she's accomplished in her career, and we got to tell our listeners, we laugh. Holly and I have been trying to set up her mom, Dolores, with my dad, Bucky, for years, but my dad is about to turn 90, and he's too old for Dolores.
He is too old for Dolores, but
she had that young boyfriend last time you and I were together.
Honey, she likes him young, so we're going to let her do that. And I know it was always a dream that we would be family one day.
Listen, we still are. Holly, one word to describe where you are in your life right now.
Oh my goodness, Kit. Settled with an asterisk.
What is the asterisk?
The asterisk is, even though I feel settled, I still feel a lot of anxiety about just, is everybody going to be okay? I still feel like I'm that mom that is the gnat on the swamp, just going this way and going that way. I still feel like that, but in a more relaxed way. Like I don't freak out if I have a terrible, terrible day anymore. I can laugh it off a little bit more. And I think that comes with being settled, and it comes with watching bad shit happen. And then you look up and it's like, okay, you got through that. So there's a sense of, okay, just exhale because it's all good. You know, what seemed like the end of the world is just not the end of the world anymore. So the asterisk part is just the worry. You still feel worry, and you just hope that you're going to be prepared for whatever's coming at you. But there is a sense of being settled that I haven't felt in a long time. This is pretty recent. I want to say in the last year. But for the most part, just feeling settled in my life, feeling like I had the right people around me.
That's it.
A couple people had to get a pink slip.
Yeah. Weed that garden.
Who's in your rowboat? Who's drilling holes in your rowboat, or who's rowing that boat for you?
And I'm always surprised by that, right? Because I feel like I want to row in everybody's boat. So I'm always surprised when I'm like, oh, look at that person in the back there. What are they doing drilling that hole?
Right. And that comes from other people's life trauma and life issues
Yes.
and insecurities and whatever they're going through. And you can't take it personally. That's
No.
the other thing. That the settled part is not taking things as personal.
Yes, let it go. Let things go.
So the family is good. They're happy. You know how it is. We only care about how these kids are. If the kids are happy, we're happy. The oldest twin, RJ, as you know his whole story. He's just started his 9th season with the Dodgers as a clubhouse attendant. You know, that's like this fairy tale wrapped in a storybook because he had autism and they said he wouldn't do shit. They wouldn't do anything. And it was just a doomsday diagnosis. But fast forward 23 years later, here he is being a clubhouse attendant for the Dodgers. And he had no friends, and now he has a whole clubhouse full of friends.
I was thinking about you before coming on today because you really, in my mind, are the OG for autism awareness. Because back, you and I are around the same age, like nobody was talking about anything. So take me back when you heard the news of the diagnosis. What do you remember about that time?
Well, I remember there was no one advocating. Like, there were other people in Hollywood that had children on the spectrum and were not talking about it openly, which is fine. But we were so alone and lonely with this diagnosis that I knew I had to convince Rodney to let us kind of go public, because I knew it would mean a lot to be able to see a family, follow a family, not feel so alone, feel seen. And we got in a little tangle, Rodney and I, on that, but I won because I win all the arguments at
Listen,
home.
wait, what was the tangle about? Did he just want to be more
He
private
was a
about everything?
poster kid boy. He was an NFL quarterback, and his idea of his son was that his son was going to be the next Heisman Trophy winner. Rodney was a runner-up to the for the Heisman Trophy, and here's his son, Rodney Peete Jr., and he's going to win it.
Yeah.
And when he was visiting his dad at the football games, he's running around twirling and flapping and stemming and doing all the things that kids with autism do, and he wasn't present, and it was heartbreaking for Rodney, and he did not want to go out and show everybody that. But I knew that if we talked about it, it would be not only helpful for us, but it would also be helpful for so many other people.
You
And
say that so easy though, Holly. What you took on in that moment not only, of course, helped your family, but helped millions of people out there. Is the statistic true? 1 in 44 children are diagnosed?
yeah, in California is even more prevalent than that, you can imagine. But I want to make it clear, I didn't get the diagnosis and then get on top of a table like Norma Ray with my fists in the air.
In my mind, you did.
I
Okay.
know, and a lot of people do, but I don't want to be that superwoman, because I want people to know that I grieved,
Yes.
I cried, I stayed in my bed asking why God. Like, I went through all those stages as well. And it wasn't until RG was about 7 or 8 that I was doing an interview with Essence Magazine, a cover story. And RG just kept coming in and flapping and asking her questions and being kind of, autistic in his energy. And she was just like, "What's going on with him?" And I was like, "Oh, he has autism." She said, "He does." But I didn't realize she's a reporter. She was like,
Oh,
"Oh." So the whole entire interview slant became, well, I got outed in the best way in that interview. And that led us to the Oprah Winfrey Show. But at the beginning, it was very hard, and I had my sleeves rolled up, and I was being a gangster mom, and I was advocating, and I was doing everything, but I wasn't standing on my soapbox just yet. And now when I see people come up to me and say, "Your story made the difference for our family as we go down this journey," it means the world.
you're quoted as saying, I wouldn't change my son for the world, but I would change the world for my son. And tell me about all the families that you're counseling. I heard you're doing like 4 or 5 a week. What's the first question they usually ask you when you get with these families that have just found out they have the diagnosis?
Is my child going to be okay? Because I really was told, just like I was with my doomsday doctor, I was told that I'm going to have to take care of this kid for the rest of my life. And what happens when I die? Like, that's the most heartbreaking question.
Oh,
But I always start with, let's build a team. We're going to build a team around Jimmy. And it doesn't have to be family, because some family doesn't get it. It could be someone at church, it could be someone at school, and we're just going to go around recruiting people to be on Team Jimmy, because when you are gone, we do need a group of people who know who he is, have his back, understand how he communicates, all of that stuff. So we're going to make sure that you have built a fortress around your child of people who love him and will always advocate for him if you can't, or when you're gone.
do you find there's an aha moment with these families where they see what you got to see?
Oh, yeah, but it's the small wins, though. So they'll
Yeah.
call back and they'll go, "You know what? We went to an IEP, which is the process you do in public school, the plan for them learning, and they gave us 10 hours of speech instead of 2, because you said go back and fight for 8 more hours." That makes me feel like I'm really making a difference. And then when we do some of our Hollywood programs, for me, it's almost like full circle moments. Our program with American Airlines called It's Cool to Fly American, where we take 50 autism families on a simulated flight, but we walk them through TSA and check in. And because the airport kit,
Oh gosh.
when I tell
I
you how many times I almost got pulled off by air marshal ready to whoop somebody's ass for coming for my son.
my money's on you.
Oh my gosh. And so to be able to take a kid on a plane with his family in preparation for a trip they want to go on. The airport is a sensory jungle for autism. The lights, the sound, the people, they can't always process that. So to be able to bring a family in and we set up balloons and everyone's always like, what's going on over at gate 44? Animals come on with us, like service animals. Animals are all dressed up in little outfits. And we just make this first flight with them amazing. And they get on the plane and they rev up the engine, like you're going to take off. And then they pull the brakes in.
That's
But
so beautiful.
you get all that sensory stuff. So just being able to do all these programs and see the looks on these families' faces, those are the aha moments
Ah,
for me.
I was thinking about when a family goes through this, how does it affect the other siblings
Mm.
in the family? Because I just know as a mom, you're juggling everybody's emotions, making sure everybody gets their needs met. How do you handle that?
Ooh, I wish I had somebody to try to guide me through that early on because my son had a twin sister and she was always the typical one. So she had to get the brunt of, oh, we're getting kicked out of this restaurant because RJ is flat on his back or he's freaking out or he's having a sensory overload. All right, well, we're on a vacation. We had to cut short because and Ryan, his sister, was always the one that had to sit there like an angel because she had no room to be, misbehaved or anything. And if she did, we were like, shh, shh. So that had a bad impact on her, which she has reminded me about very, very much, very often. Even though she's graduated from NYU and been a world traveler and done all these great things, it still impacts her. So when I speak to families, get one-on-one time with your other sibling, figure out a way to occupy, your child with autism and get that one-on-one time. We want you to have memories of just me and you. And what did we do? We went and got our nails done. We
Yeah.
went to the movies together. So it's hard for a lot of working parents to do that. But when you can find that time to be with the sibling, it's really, really important because they do grow up with a little resentment and they feel like they've been left out or they're just not the squeaky wheel.
How did you make that right?
Yeah, I made it right. And I admitted it to her,
That's the
right?
key. I think kids half the time just want to hear that they're seen. I feel exactly what you're saying.
I sat down with her in therapy and I said in front of the therapist, I said, I wish I had paid more attention to Ryan and given her more love. And I missed a diagnosis on her. She has ADHD. I didn't even know it. I just thought one has autism. This one needs my help. That one's okay. So I admitting it to her, holding myself accountable, saying, you're right, mommy's wrong, and I should have done this. But there's always that sort of residual feeling. So we got to watch the siblings and pay attention to them.
We're all a work in progress with this. Did you always want to be a mom, Holly?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Same.
From my early Barbie doll days,
Yes.
I always wanted to be a mom. I didn't always want to have twins. I didn't always want to do that, but I did want to be a mommy. And when I met Rodney and he said he wanted 5 kids, and I was like, boy, ain't no way in the world. We got close. It's so hard, especially now, like when I thought when they became older as adults, it would be easier because they're independent, but I still worry. I'm an empty nester on paper.
Oh, see, let's discuss. Yeah. Any advice for parenting older kids? Because it does shift, Holly, right?
So each kid is different, as you know.
Yeah.
But I think listening to them, I think really listening to them and asking them. I know I might be a little bit of a, snowplow mom for you. How's that working? You like that or you that's not your thing? And then some of them are like, oh, mom, I like when you do this for me. But others, you need them to learn to adult more without you. Just like the way you discipline each kid, I think each kid is different. But open dialogue, open conversations. And I think that really creates a trust,
Yes.
listening to who they are. They're just not cookie cutter kids.
No.
It's crazy. Same mom, same dad, come out at the same place, but they're all so
They really
different.
are.
It's crazy.
One thing you and I have always bonded over, and you and I've been in this business for so long. I feel like my success is based on their happiness, and happiness might even be the wrong word. Their security, their drive, their centeredness, maybe.
Yeah. So when they do grow up knowing that their happiness is your priority, it's a really good thing. But they also do learn, wow, mom is out there doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
What you doing now, mom? Oh, I'm getting ready to do a podcast. They see you hustling, they see you
Hmm.
grinding, they see you working, they see you being a working mom, and they learn to respect that. And then they see you when you prioritize them. Because there are times when
No.
count
Yeah.
to 10, baby, I'll be right there.
There's a lot of times like that.
And I think that's good for them. I
I
do think
agree.
that's good for them. There are times when I look at other moms that are just always around and their whole lives with their kids, and I do think that they start to lose themselves a little bit. So I'm always encouraging even stay-at-home moms to go figure you out
Yes.
and go find where you are in this whole thing because this idea of just your kids being everything, I think is a little unnatural. They can be a lot of it and most of it.
Yes, but you've got to keep your own thing. I have so many women come up to me, Holly, now in our 50s, like, I want to get back into the game. And so, to your point, find a slice of something that moves you. Your mom is one of the ultimate renegades for women. When I think about her back in the day, packing up that car from Philly, moving out to California, setting up shop, becoming wildly successful as one of the greatest managers of all time, doing it all on her own. What ways are you like her and what ways are you different?
Well, she showed me at a very young age, she modeled the audacity to dream of something bigger than what she was experiencing in Philadelphia. And I know that trip was the hardest thing in my life, being 9 years old. We would leave my hamster on the side of the
Yeah.
road in the Mojave Desert. To this day, I cannot drive through the Mojave without looking for Laura.
Oh, Laura,
Laura, where are you?
she's still alive, thriving on her wheel, we'll
I
say.
named her Laura after a character in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which was my Bible at the time.
Oh, who wasn't?
But that trip across the country was so traumatizing. What I learned was this woman had a mission and she was gangsta mom. Her head was down and she had to do what she had to do. And she created this amazing life for us. In some ways, I'm very much like her in that when I set my mind to go do something, watch out. I'm going to make it happen. I think I'm not like her. I could have never given away our childhood dog. If I picked up right now and drove my kids across country and God forbid Rodney and I got divorced or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna reinvent myself. I could not leave that dog. I couldn't leave the cat. I couldn't leave my hamster for sure.
She left her whole life and went out and created this unbelievable business at a time where nobody wanted to deal with women.
No, nobody wanted to deal with women. I would have been a little bit more sensitive to my children though.
That generation didn't care, right?
She didn't care. To this day, she's like, if I hear about that goddamn rodent one more time, she's like, do you see the bigger picture? And of course I do. But had she let me bring sorry, Laura, let me bring my hamster
Sorry,
into
Laura.
the little Motel 6. There was no hamster police. Nobody would have known. And that thing would have been alive and made it to California. So I think my mom was a little bit more gangster than me. And so she's a little harder than me. I think when it comes to my kids, I'm a little bit more of a softie.
I agree. My mom, yeah, when he cried, she said, please. I mean, that's just the way we were brought up. So
That's right.
they did
That's
not
right.
listen as much that generation. It was more, we're going to get from A to B.
Yep.
When my brother and I bring up funny childhood stuff, my mom's the same way. Bug is like, oh, please. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't want to hear any of it.
Right. She's like, you know what? Put your big girl drawers
Put your
on
big
and
girl
leave me
panties on.
alone.
What about your dad? Let's talk about your dad and his run, starting off on Sesame Street. And gosh, and then I think about how young you were when you lost him, way too young.
I was only 5 years old, trying to turn on I have 17,000 phones, kid.
By the way,
Sorry.
I keep looking. I don't know why you look so good. I really wish I could fix my filter or something. I'm looking all banged up here. And I had full hair makeup. No, you really just look really
No,
good,
I
my
slapped
friend.
this makeup on just for you and threw these eyelashes on and they're a little crooked, but
Wait,
it's
do
all
you know
good.
how to do the lashes by yourself?
I'm always hit or miss, 50-50.
You
Sometimes I can
hit.
drop them and they're there, and other times I look like Joan Crawford went through a blender.
They look good. They're working.
Thank you, baby.
So tell me about dad.
My dad was quite an amazing guy from Philadelphia, got this job on Sesame Street just haphazardly, like wasn't supposed to be Gordon. My dad was a producer. He was one of the black voices in the room. And a lot of people forget that Sesame Street was created as a vehicle for black and brown kids in these urban neighborhoods. And so it was a groundbreaking show because at this time, this is 1968, 69. Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Ugh,
There's some bad, bad stuff was going on in this country. And there was no representation or diversity for kids, for Black people in general, but certainly not for kids. So here comes Sesame Street. Here comes my dad. All right, I'll save the day. I'll be Gordon. Hi, welcome to Sesame Street. My name is Gordon. And oh, and here's Big Bird, and here's Mr. Hooper, and here's Oscar the Grouch. So he introduced the world to all these characters. I wanted to go on Sesame Street as any 5-year-old would,
yes.
and I'm still bitter. I wanted to go on. I had one line. I blew my one line. I was supposed to say hi, hi Gordon. I kept saying hi, Daddy. So I got my line taken away from me. But he didn't want me to be in show business. He didn't want to have a showbiz kid. And it's so
Whoops.
funny. Only recently did I find the video of me on that show.
Oh
And
my.
when I watched it, kid, I realized what my dad was talking about. I was talking too much, talking over the adults, couldn't shut me up, telling these long stories. And then later on, my dad went on, when he left Sesame Street, to write for a lot of amazing shows
Oh yeah.
like The Waltons and It Is Enough and The Jeffersons and Sanford and Son. But at only 46 years old, he was diagnosed with
God.
Parkinson's.
How old were you when you lost him?
I was in my 30s.
Which I still consider such a wild time in our lives, right? Where a lot of stuff is changing. Like you almost need your parents then more than anything. How did you handle the grief? What did you do to navigate that?
He died in 2002. I had just gotten the diagnosis of autism maybe 2 years before that, still
Ugh.
processing that with the twins, taking care of my dad, the sandwich generation. But then I was 9 months pregnant when he passed with Robinson. You know, we're so resilient, kid. We pushed through the hardest of times, but I just don't even know how I got through it. I know I had to keep myself cool for this next baby, make sure RJ was good, but I couldn't believe that I lost him so young. I
Ugh.
mean, 66 is just too young, and he was already had full-blown dementia. He couldn't talk. So at the end, it was like I couldn't have much of a connection with him. And it was so, so difficult. Ironically, my brother Matt has Parkinson's now too.
Oh,
He was diagnosed about 5 or 6 years ago, and he's just in his early 60s. So this Parkinson's thing just won't leave me alone. I hate it so much. Matt, his attitude, he's like, this ain't my dad's Parkinson's. I'm boxing, I'm working out, I'm hiking. I ain't going down like that. And granted, we know so much more about Parkinson's now than we did when my dad was diagnosed. But it was just so sad for my father to be cut, his life cut so short so early. Great thing is he made it to my wedding.
you
He was
got
able
to
to
see it.
walk me down the aisle.
Well, he might not have thought you should have gone into this career, but boy, did you dive in. I think you've done every genre of TV and film. What is your rose and thorn of your career?
Oh, I'd say the rose was for sure 21 Jump Street because, I'm involved in a Jump Street documentary right now, and
You better spill the tea.
I spilt it. I just did it the other day, and
Squeeze
I
some lemon on
was
there.
with my chest. I said it all. It was good. It was authentic. I had a lot of self-deprecation. I was angry, but I was happy. But you're just catching me off of that. I just did that like this
Okay,
week.
so just tell me something. Give me some nugget. Something with you and Johnny.
What I can say is that it was the most amazing time of my life to be just graduated from college, go up to Vancouver, be the only girl in this cast. Like, I mean, me and Johnny and Dustin and Peter and Steven, the first show from the Fox network. It was such a heady time. We were like the mod squad, and it was just so great. And then things shifted when Johnny wanted to get out of there. And so I spoke on both things. I told stories, but that is definitely the rose of my career for sure.
My producer and I, Harper, were talking like you're in your 20s, looking hot as balls. You're with the
Oh,
hottest guys in the industry. You and Johnny Depp, just mano y mano. I was like,
And
Oh,
the one thing I made sure, and my mom told me, do not get involved with any of these boys that are the
man.
regulars, right? Any of these guys.
We don't listen to
Now the
mom.
guest stars, now the guest stars were a different story.
Okay, wait. On that note, let's just be vacuous and frivolous for a moment. Just give me 3 cute boys that you kissed back in the day that I would think is funny. One that we always talk about is Jason Priestley. You were his first girlfriend. And now, a word from our sponsors. Have y'all heard of Olakai? When I kick off my ridiculous high heels for Access Hollywood, Olakai is my go-to. I found them when I was searching for the best flip-flop that also gives me the greatest support for my high arches, which has always been impossible for me to find. Olakai is a super cool brand with the coolest kicks, known for their aloha spirit and Hawaiian roots. They make shoes for every type of occasion. And now they just came out with the greatest pickleball and golf shoes. I literally wear them when I'm playing or just running around town. My favorite part is that the heels naturally go down to make every one of their shoes a slide. How brilliant is that? My whole family is obsessed. Olakai, which means comfortable ocean, is all about comfort and craftsmanship and feeling connected to nature. Right out of the box, I promise you will love anything you get from them. And for Coop listeners, free shipping on any order at olakai.com. That's OLUKAI.com. OLUKAI.com. Use code COOP, COOP, and get your Olakais delivered ASAP this summer. Mahalo. Coop Chicks. I have discovered the most fabulous new female-owned botanical skincare line out of Nashville, Tennessee called Imogene & Co., short for company. Using skincare products from natural ingredients is more important to me than ever. And Dr. Allison Brennan, the founder of Imogene & Co., is a trained pharmacist, and she has formulated products that I have never experienced before. They smell incredible, and her products cleanse, nourish, and hydrate. I've noticed an incredible difference in my skin since using Imogene & Co. I'm currently obsessed with their Glow Vitamin C Serum. You need this. This is the most potent and natural vitamin C serum I've ever used. It builds collagen, and let's just say bye-bye to those crow's feet. I'm equally obsessed with their revitalized face oil. I slather that on my face to start and end my day. My 20-something daughters and even my 84-year-old mom, Bug, are all addicted to this incredible brand. So give Imogene & Co. a try. Go to imogeneandco.com. That's EMOGENE and co.com. And use Coop20 for 20% off. That's Coop, COOP20 for 20% off. Enjoy. And now, back to the Coop.
He was a local actor, Canadian actor. He came on the show as a guest star, cute as he could be. So sweet. This is all obviously pre 90210, but broke, and there I was making all this money and stuff. And so I helped him and supported him. And he was just a sweet little fun boyfriend.
Anybody else that you kissed that I would think is funny?
Well, Rob Lowe said I kissed him in his book, but I don't remember
How do you
it.
not remember kissing Rob Lowe, Holly?
Because at the time, Kit, we were in junior high school and Rob was like a geek with braces and we were friends. We were all platonic friends. Like Rob hung out with all the girls. We didn't know that Rob was running a game.
Yeah.
Because none of the guys hung out with Rob because he wasn't like a surfer guy. So he just kind of infiltrated this group of girls and we were all kind of besties. And he kind of like chummed up as if he's our platonic gay friend or something, which he wasn't.
Nice work.
And he worked it. But we worked at the Malibu Cinema together. We both were on popcorn duty. And he said that I kissed him behind the popcorn machine. I swear to you, I don't remember kissing Rob Lowe.
Listen,
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't remember.
Holly, what other books have you been in? This is unbelievable. We got Jason's, we got Rob.
I think it was in Bobby Brown's book.
Oh, please tell me you're in Bobby Brown's book.
Bobby Brown's book.
Oh, this is great.
So now it's my turn to write my book. And I'm going to be spilling the beans about a lot of people that I dated and that I had life-changing experiences with that nobody knows about. Well, I'll tell you what, Kit, I didn't have no social media to document
Wasn't it
anything.
beautiful? Can we please go back to that?
And that's what I said about Johnny, like, I mean, he got to do a lot of things
Mhm.
with no social media. So when you can do those kind of youthful indiscretions and just be a little bad kid, without
Yes.
everyone watching you, it makes a difference. It really does.
It's called growing up. It's called being allowed to fail and be stupid. Okay, what would be your thorn in your career? I know. Okay, let's talk about the talk.
Well, put it this way, I had never been fired from any job before. And getting fired from the talk was so humiliating and so unwarranted because I was doing my job. I was crushing it.
100%.
And it just was such a toxic mixture of jealousy and insecurity and all kinds of things that happened over there. But at the end of the day, I was like, I didn't know I could interview and throw the commercial and do live TV like that.
Yep, and you nailed it.
I knew I was a good talk show guest. I knew I could, be relatable, and I knew I had good personality, but to do all those things, throw the commercial, to read the teleprompter, to just to be off the cuff and be a good interviewer, those are things you don't know you can do until you actually do them, and I was killing it.
No, it's a whole different muscle. It's a whole different thing. It takes a while to learn the nuances of it. So you and Leah Remini were taken off the
Yeah.
show. What would you tell your younger self about that time?
I would have told her to just, relax. I was so tight every day on that set. I don't know how I could have relaxed because I felt like people were coming for my neck every time I turned around. But looking back, I could have seen moments where I couldn't have reacted to every damn thing. I could have just let some things slide or not thought of everything as being an affront to who I was. Even if I told my younger self, I don't know that it would have made any difference because I think there were some women on there that were on a mission, and there was nothing that was going to stop them from getting me off of there. I do realize that the best thing that came from that was understanding my skill set, that I really was
Yes.
able to do that. Getting it taken away from me at a time with 4 kids and,
Oof.
my livelihood, that was a super duper bummer.
How did you handle that?
I was mad. I didn't handle it well. I think Leah and I getting fired together was helpful because we had each other to lean on. We're very different people, but we really bonded over getting canned together. But we were blackballed a little bit, where that we would try to go out and pitch things, and then there was a little bit of a catch and kill thing going on. So that was kind of hard to deal with as well. What's so crazy all these years later, when I look at the show now, which I think is about to go off the air
Yep. Yep. It's
last
going off.
season, I think about all these years I could have been on there. That kind of makes me feel some kind of way. But I did have a full circle moment where I came back on last year before, but it definitely felt good to go back there and kind of just say, "Yeah, I'm back."
Well, I was livid when all that went down. How are you when you work and then don't work? Because I've been taken off shows too. It feels like ass, and it's been hard for me. So how do you navigate it? Or maybe you're fine when you're off.
No, I mean, coming off the talk, I was like, "Where do I go?" It's an all-encompassing show. I want to work. And so that was hard. Now, as I've gotten older, I've learned to do stuff in those quiet times because when it gets busy, then you have no time. And then you're just like, oh
Yep.
my gosh, what do I do with all my free time? Like, that's what I say about my 20s. Like, what do I do with all my free time in my 20s before I had kids?
So what do you do with that quiet time?
I love to read. Over the pandemic, I got into diamond art.
What? What is that?
What diamond art is, it's like paint by numbers, but instead of you take the little thing and you put the little diamonds,
You're
rhinestones.
bedazzling? Is that what it is?
It's kind of bedazzling, but it's an actual painting.
How
And so when you
beautiful.
come back, when you finish it, it's this unbelievable painting. But I love diamond art and also traveling. I mean, any chance I get to go somewhere that's cool and fun and different, I do it.
You've got your 30th wedding anniversary coming up.
Hmm,
Holy crap.
that's a big number. That's a big number.
I love when people say, "Oh, it's just love and rainbows." It is not. It is burning down the house. It's learning to say sorry. It's having a short memory. What would you say has been your secret sauce?
Well, all the stuff that you just said,
Yeah.
plus time apart, giving each other space. And also, we do that 20-second hug thing I told you about.
Oh, yeah. Remind me of this.
Yeah, so if you are in conflict, you or your spouse can call for a 20-second hug at any time. Now,
That.
this can be hard because if you're up here, the
Hmm.
last thing you want to do is hug this guy. But there's something pheromonally that happens when you put your heart next to each other. You almost melt the walls and you forget what you were arguing about.
I got to remember that.
Now, counting to 20 is the longest 20 seconds ever. Boy, but you 15, you're gritting your teeth at 15, 16, but somewhere around 17, you soften and you kind of ceremonially reconnect on what the hell were we even arguing about?
Exactly.
Now, this doesn't always work, Kit, but
No.
for us, it has worked in certain times and diffused certain arguments and situations. And I always recommend it to people, 20-second hugs.
Have you ever thought about calling quits? Have you ever thought about ending your marriage?
Well, the answer is yes, 2 times. One when RJ was newly diagnosed and Rodney was playing football, and I knew he was having trouble processing the diagnosis. It was so bad that it was getting in my way of helping RJ. And I was like, I cannot roll up my sleeves and advocate for this boy and walk eggshells over here for you because you didn't get the son you thought you were going to get or whatever you were dealing with. And I did have to threaten him a couple times because he would be in football city and I would like send him stuff, dog ear pages, highlight everything, turnkey it for him, get up to the football city, and nothing would be even open. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can do this by myself. I'm going to have to. And then fortunately he came around and got on board thinking he was going to lose his family and everything. I was kind of bluffing, but I was glad he
came around. Yes.
The other was after he retired from football.
That's interesting. That is so hard.
Unless you've seen it, like you've been with an athlete and then they retire from their sport because they're usually in their 30s or whatever. And, you don't retire from anything at 30. That transition, I was told was going to be tough, but that transition was really tough. He missed the spotlight. Boy was on Sports Illustrated at the age of 19. So leaving that professional athlete thing was especially difficult for him. He started drinking and his body was hurting. So he was like, got into painkillers, and it was a really, really tough time. And it lasted for a long time. And I think I was in denial and enabled a little bit. There were some rock bottom moments that made him go, oh, hell no, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
So he has been sober for years now, years. And it's just been so much easier to be married to somebody like that than it is to be worried about what's going to happen with any kind of addiction. It just throws such a wrench into a family dynamic. So shout out to Rodney Peete for getting himself right.
And his career has taken off. And I love you even sharing that story because that's real life. People can go through in other incarnations of that, but that's a long marriage, 30 years married. Yeah.
And, you think about it, in this business, 30 years is it is a long, long time. We recognize that milestone. All our kids are grown now. They're not all out of the house, but most of them are. And we are looking at each other like, now what?
And so what are you doing now?
Well, we're traveling again.
Yes.
We recently went to a spa in Mexico together called Shaw Wellness, and it was amazing. It's not just a spa, get a massage. I mean, they do every kind of treatment. They even had a little room, mommy rejuvenation room.
Oh, I like that one.
I was like, what am I doing? It was like this it looked like a toilet seat, but you sit on it and apparently you turn it on and it strengthens your pelvic floor.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wins.
I've heard about this. Yes. My producer said everybody wins. Everybody's a winner with that one.
Okay. It's called Emcella or something like that.
So wait, you sit down and the stuff shoots up.
And it was so funny because the lady was like, well, we usually start you on 25 and then we don't go further than 80 because some people can't handle it, right? I'm like, but if you go further than 80, do I get a better result? And she's like, yeah.
Jack that up to 100, lady. You haven't met me.
Let's rip. And she turned that thing up and I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, it's good.
Hey.
So So
And
it
then you
doesn't,
went skipping
it
out of
doesn't,
there.
it feels, it doesn't, it's not like how, say, a vibrator would feel. It is a very weird feeling because you're feeling the vibration just on your pelvic floor. And it's insane. But when I walked out of there, I was like,
I got to tell our listeners too, Holly is still glowing. Like you have never looked better. So I'm going to get in that female rejuvenation room.
yes, honey. And they also had a class for not sex ed, but it was
Yeah.
talking about, okay, now that you're, an empty nester, you're older, talk about sex. Because they made us look at sex as a health and wellness situation, not let's do it,
Yeah.
but like what it brings to you physically and mentally. And they broke it all the way down. And mind you, the good news is we didn't have to do this together, which would have been a little embarrassing. But then we came together and we talked about, what did you learn? And they said, he was just like, well, sex is healthy and we need to do it more. I was like, yeah, we do. We need to do it more.
Okay, wait. So of course he's saying that. What did you take away from it?
My takeaway was, oh my gosh, having sex rejuvenates you. It's a physical process. Sex is wellness.
Yep.
That was my takeaway.
I just think for women, at least for me, I can speak, I get so going like 1,000 things that I want to do, have to do. Is the laundry done? Where's that third kid? And so I think to slow down and go into more sexual wellness would be beneficial for me.
Sexual wellness. They say sexual, Marvin Gaye sang about it.
Sexual healing. Listen.
But I mean, that's what my takeaway was from that. I never looked at sex as being part of a health and wellness routine.
Me either.
And,
I kind of love that, Holly. That's awesome.
I love that. So these are the types of things we're doing in our empty nester phase, in our back nine. We're figuring it out.
I'm going to follow up. We'll get on that toilet thing and I'm going to report back on Marvin Gaye's
Stella.
sexual healing. Okay. Let's get random. Do you want to play a little game, Holly?
Of course.
Oh my gosh. I love this first one. Were you a Parisian jazz singer back in the 20s with the most beautiful voice? Did you change your name? Can you sing a little something for me?
No one has ever asked me this question but Kid Hoover. I sang in a Paris jazz club when I was 19.
What?
Living in Paris on my junior year. I was determined not to hang out with American girls. All they wanted to do was go to the American embassy and pick up American Marines. I said, I did not come to Paris to pick up no American Marines. I'm getting out there. I'm getting me a French boyfriend. I'm going to learn French. And I did. Now I have a French guy who's been trying to find me for 40 years, but that's a whole nother story.
Put that in the book, chapter 2.
Chapter 2, baby. I happened to go to this jazz club and Lionel Hampton, who was a famous jazz musician, was playing, and he was playing Summertime, right? Summertime and the living is easy, right? Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your ma good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
Cool.
Okay. Now, and so he was like, hey, young lady, you want to get up here and sing? Because I was just mouthing the words.
You're 19.
I was 19. He was playing it instrumental, and I just started singing with it. He was like, come on up here, young lady. And I got up and I sang. He was like, well, hell, what else do you know? And he said, do you know a song called Windmills of My Mind? It's one of my favorite French songs. And I was like, not only do I know it in French. And I started singing it, and he asked me to go on the road with him, and I couldn't. I had to stay and do my studies. You guys, you know the song, Kit.
You're going to have to play it for me so I can hear it. Yes.
Well, I only hear it in French. Comme une pierre,
Sing it in French.
Dans l'eau vive d'un ruisseau, et qui laisse derrière elle des milliers de ronds dans l'eau, comme un anneau de lune, avec ses chevaux d'étoiles, comme un anneau de Saturne. En bord de carnaval, tu fais tourner de ton nom tous les moulins de mon cœur. So it's a song called The Windmills of My Mind. It's from
we're losing our mind over here. Holly, I just thought of something. Your book, you're going to turn it into a cabaret show. I'm not kidding. No, I'm being totally serious. Like, I would love to go an evening with Holly. Can all benefit the Holly Rudd Foundation. But you will sing and you will tell your stories of your childhood. Your voice is incredible. I've known you for how many years now, and I never knew this side of you.
Oh, well, I feel very comfortable around you. That's why I'm doing all this crazy singing. My husband just peeked in the door like, "The hell
Tell
are
him
you
hello.
doing?"
Oh, Celeb Apprentice, craziest Trump encounter. I forgot. Did you win that thing or who won?
Well, I won the most money, but Brett Michaels won the sash. So he can have the sash and I
But
took
you
the
won the
cash.
money.
I won the money. But what a surreal experience, and I still to this day cannot believe that that same guy is now, a heartbeat away from the presidency. None of that makes any sense. But I didn't really enjoy that, but I was really good at it.
You
Like
were
I knew
really good at it.
I was one of the only people on the show who really had her heart in the right place. A lot of people come on the show to, for a PR stunt, to promote a book, an album, to revive their career. I went on because I wanted to make money for this charity. And I went on as a mom advocating for her son, and it was too much for everybody. But that's where I first sort of met Osborne.
Yeah.
And and so she, I guess, didn't love that I, beat her out on that. And then not months later, there I was on the talk with her.
Favorite vice.
Favorite vice. Oh my gosh. You mean like
I know what
vice?
it is. It's that toilet at the spa. What we got to think of the name of because it's not a bidet. It's a
It's
special
called Emsella.
Imcella could be your favorite.
Emsella. Now, did happen to Google it, and I may or may not have Googled it to find out how much it costs. I can't afford it.
Oh, that's great.
But, I want to say my favorite vice is probably my power plate. So a power plate is the thing that shakes you. And I have been diagnosed with a little bit of like pre-osteoporosis, and it's so good for your body and your circulation and all of that. Not only Kit am I coming up on a big anniversary, but I'm
Yep.
coming up on a mega monster
60 in
birthday.
September.
And what I'm discovering is the way you get to health is muscle mass on your body and how you keep protecting those bones. And so this power plate, it shakes you and it just actually really helps with osteoporosis. And you can do exercises and planks and stuff on it.
I'm
I
gonna
would
get
say
it.
that would be my advice because I'm on this health kick right now.
Okay, on that note, fill in the blank. Aging is what?
A blessing is not given. You get that. I mean, I can count so many people in my life that did not make it to 60.
Ugh, too many.
So aging is a gift. You asked me earlier about how am I kind of like my mom, how am I not? My mom, she will tell you how old she is within the first 4 seconds of meeting her. I'm a little bit different that way.
But to your point, I guess we've started leaning in. 60, honestly, is the new 40, which you could even backtrack with that. I don't think you've ever looked more beautiful, more vibrant. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. It's for this right now. So grateful is how you feel.
Grateful and so excited for, new things. And I have to say, like, don't tell Rodney I said this, but I have to say, like, I'm just developing more of an appreciation for him. He gets on my last nerve all the time, and he's like a sugar-aholic, so he's not helping me with my sugar stuff. I'm trying to lay off sugar kit, which is
Help
the
me.
nightmare.
I'm not good there.
Not good there, but you're really not good when you have a husband who's constantly bringing around Cinnabons and Mike and Ike's and old timey candy. Like, where do you find this stuff? But anyway, I'm having a more of a appreciation of him, and we're working together now. So we're getting ready to go shoot our third season of our show for Peacock, Queen's Court. But now, like, we're vibing off each other. We're like, if Nick and Vanessa can do it, we can do it too. Damn it.
You've been through so much. And one thing I'm looking at in my own life, there's something about the roots that you and Rodney have together. Nobody has been through what y'all have been through. It's your story. So you're seeing the tree blossom, right? Last question, Holly. What makes you happy?
Oh, sitting around with my kids and laughing
Mm-hmm.
and telling old stories. We laugh about each other. We laugh about things that we used to cry about, things that were used to be pretty heavy. So just being with my family and laughing, That makes me so happy. And the fact that they still want to hang out with me, these adults still want to
Right?
be my friend and still want to chill with me. That makes me happy too.
Well, I love you, my friend. From the moment I met you, you were the first person that was so nice to me when I moved out to Hollywood for Access Hollywood. I'll never forget the day you came on set. I don't know what the hell I was doing, Holly. I feel like we connected on that day.
I just have always felt comfortable around you. When I was doing a little stint at Access, it was all kind of weird. And what am I doing? And who's coming and who's going? And you and I just bonded immediately.
Tell Rodney and tell Mom I said hello. And Holly, the cabaret show, you better hang up and get on that. Like, that is going to be massive. You can control it.
You just brought a whole nother element to this memoir. Because when I was telling my agent, my literary agent the other day, I was saying, I feel like there's a song for every one of these chapters.
Yes.
And I never thought about it as a song that I would sing. I thought about it in some 70s song or whatever.
It's an evening with Holly Robinson Peete, and it's cabaret. And think about, oh my God, the gorgeous gown. You can do your diamond art. It'll line the back, Holly.
I love you so much, Kate.
I love you. Thank you so much. Okay, love you, sweet.
Anytime, baby.
Wow. Holly Robinson effing Peete. Is she not the best? Let me bring in my producer, my better half, Harper McDonald. And we're actually filming this, which is funny to me. Okay, wait a minute. Is she as incredible as I told you she was going to be?
Yes, she more. Like a billion times more. First of all, I do think we need to have a quick moment. Laura the hamster.
Laura the hamster.
Just a moment of silence.
R.I.P. Laura the hamster.
Poor
You had a
hamster.
heck of a ride.
I just love imagining it's still on a wheel, just rolling through the desert
is.
somewhere.
He's still
no,
cranking.
No snakes have found Laura.
No.
I have to start with the singing. I had chills when she was singing. Her voice is extraordinary.
The fact that you found this nugget, I have never known this about her at 19 years old to be a Parisian jazz singer.
Mm-hmm. Just rolling in there.
Just
singing some Summertime and then taking it from there.
And her voice. And then we came up with her doing a cabaret show. That I don't know why I'm so excited about that.
No, because it's perfect. It frames everything and it like highlights all her talents.
I love her calling herself a gangster mom. How about what she's done for all of her children, how honest she was about everything, but what she's done for autism awareness is truly incredible.
It's unmatched, and everything that she was talking about, from the simulations that they're doing at airports to they're doing actually a lot even with the police force. She didn't even talk about it. Everything that she's doing is extraordinary. The thing that I loved, which I felt was truly relevant to any parent, was building your team around your child.
Oh, when she was counseling the other families, and we said, what's the number one thing you say? Get your team around you. I love that.
And build the fortress.
Build it.
And the thing is that was sort of heartbreaking is, what will happen to my child when I pass away?
I'm gone.
So the idea is to do that so that they know your child. But this is relevant to every single family in the world, is because you do want to have sort of you want to have the team. You want to build your team, your children's team. So
By the way, I'm so glad to have Harper on my team. I could have talked about that the whole time. Can we jump ahead to the spa she went to?
Yes, please.
What was that thing, the NCL-12 that shot up your tootle?
I don't know. It was just like a who's he, what's it going up? Who's got what?
She was never looked better. Holly is so beautiful.
She is glowing from the inside out.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that thing is called, but I do think there's a field trip that we need to plan.
That the Coop is going to go on. We're going to give out 20% coupons for anybody that wants to meet us there.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yes, and sex being part of the health and wellness plan. We've heard this before. We've talked to some of the other guests about before, but to hear her say it so clearly and sort of that was her aha moment was awesome.
I like that. Yes.
Well, it's true. And none of us think about it that way. Well, I don't.
No, we really don't. So to think sexual wellness. What was her word?
Settled with an asterisk.
Settle with an asterisk. How poignant, right? We all want to feel settled, and you can feel in her there's a certain level there, but that asterisk, it's in all of us. It's called life.
It's called life. We all get wiser and more thoughtful and reflective, and we also still are learning every single day. And we still worry.
Yeah.
We worry about our kids. We worry about a lot.
If our listeners could hear you and me on the phone chatting with all the worries we have about our chickens.
I know.
Yeah.
last thing that I wanted to say is this girl was the get back in
Wait,
the
what
day.
about the Rob Lowe story?
With braces? He was like the guy rolling in being like, oh no, I may be into girls. And he was like,
How many
on
biographies has she been
That's
in? Gosh,
what
she's the
I
best.
wanna know.
We're waiting for her book. We love you so much, Holly Robinson Peete. Thank you for joining us in the Coop, and we hope y'all liked it. Thank you for joining us, my chickens. If you like this episode, please give us a 5-star rating, drop in a great review, and tag us at The Coop with Kit Hoover. As well, you can follow us on social media at The Coop with Kit Hoover for behind-the-scenes content and updates. We will see you next time in The Coop. And remember, as my mom Bug always says, life is not a dress rehearsal. Make it count. Today's episode was produced by me, Kit Hoover, and Harper McDonald. Our technical producer is Christian Brown, and today's episode was edited by Christian Brown. Business development by Casey Ladd, and a special thank you to all of our sponsors.